This is just an excerpt from a full episode. If you enjoyed what you hear here, go check out other full episodes, either on YouTube or as part of the podcast feed. Enjoy! Speaking of treating workers poorly, first off, gig worker news! Menulog. Company happy to pay Snoop Dogg a week's worth of marijuana money, $5.3 million, to do a jingle, has promised to trial an employment model for its workers in Sydney's CBD district. The employment model they will trial is trial by combat. The employees are all gathered into the MCG, as it's the biggest arena in the country, and if you live in a different state, you'll be expected to pay for your own expenses, because that's how these companies work. You pay for your own petrol. At which point, they will battle each other while dodging lasers, because basically that's like doing two jobs at once. The contractor, who is the most flexible, will be given employee status. Like other companies in the on-demand sector, Menulog claims flexibility remains fundamental to their mission. That mission being maximizing money and exploitation for fun and riches. They are the best of friends, after all. Given workers in the gig economy are deemed independent contractors, it is not possible for them to even operate as employees within an award system as it currently operates. Not to mention, a spokesperson for Menulog actually told Michael West Media that the company didn't have any more detail on its proposal, so it doesn't even know what it wants to do. These guys genuinely have embraced the Pirates of the Caribbean lifestyle.
Take what you can, give nothing back.
And when it comes to the working status of their employees, well...
The code is more what you'd call guidelines than actual rules.
And when it comes to helping their contractors...
I'm disinclined to acquiesce to your request.
Deliveroo CEO Ed McManus told a Senate Select Committee hearing earlier this month that the company routinely calls workers riders. Now, use of such language is pretty important because it means any reforms would be strictly around riders or partners, as Uber calls its riders. The company's suggested reforms do not include anything resembling the usual rights given to employees. I mean, come on. Baby steps, guys. You can't expect them to be completely compliant with a pre-existing system of underpaying workers that has been in place for over 30 years. They aren't miracle workers after all. They're just shaking things up in the tech industry. Disruptors. And what they're really disrupting now is their employees' paychecks. Rideshare and delivery drivers are paid per job, not per hour. Figures show a food delivery driver typically undertakes 2 to 2.5 jobs per hour and earns on average $10 to $12 per delivery. And that's during peak demand periods. And if we're being honest, guys, at those rates, they'll never earn any money. Come on. Pick up your rates, guys. Ride your bike faster. Pump those legs and you'll earn that livable wage. Go to spin class or something. Maybe you'll be able to write some of it off as a tax deduction, assuming you actually earn any wages to begin with. A March 2021 analysis by consultants Accenture, commissioned by Uber Eats, not at all suspicious, found that, on average, Sydney delivery workers took home $21.55 per hour during key meal times. Interesting. However, figures from a 2020 survey by the Transport Workers Union found that the average gross hourly rate was $17.11. $17.11 is a gross hourly wage. Completely disgusting. not even close to the actual minimum wage, which is $19.84 per hour, plus a minimum 25% casual loading because there's no guaranteed hours. Because we enjoy flexibility in this industry, bringing the total of $24.80 that these guys should be pocketing. So, even if the absolutely trustworthy and not even slightly questionable analysis commissioned by the company, who looks better if they come off as paying above the minimum wage, is true, they are still behind. Also, they receive no benefits or legal protections. And an ongoing New South Wales Parliament inquiry into the gig economy heard that riders had their pay cut during the pandemic, down to as little as $8 for 2 trips. Now, how many of us ordered in? Raise your hands. Come on, raise your hands, be honest. How many of us ordered in multiple times a week? Well, congratulations, you are supporting the gig economy. You are all now job creators. I hope you're feeling good about yourselves. This is basically like reverse surge charges. The more in demand you are, the less you get paid. This unregulated piracy allows companies like, if I was to just pick a company out at random, no particular company, Ola for example, to suspend its insurance scheme for drivers to cut costs, as it did last June. And they could, and there'd be nothing any of them could do about it, because independent contractors are not considered employees, and they are not covered by the legal protections offered by the Fair Work Act. You can, however, find them on the front page of the Unfair Work Act, right up there with giving politicians the power to approve their own pay raises despite doing a terrible job, and making people work inconsistent contracts for cash under the table and expecting them to subsidize their wages with tips in a non-tipping culture. Page 1 of the Unfair Work Act. You can look this up. I can't make this sort of stuff up, guys. Now, a key difference between an employee and an independent contractor is the contractor can subcontract and delegate jobs, as well as have control over work, i.e. when, where, and how long they work for, whereas an employee cannot do this and has absolutely no control over any part of their job or life ever. The nature of contractor work could potentially allow for employment as a casual worker. However, this would mean gig workers still wouldn't be entitled to key minimum standards such as paid sick leave, unless Dictator Dan's attempts to provide casual workers with sick pay that they can carry between jobs takes off nationally, converting Australia from a freedom-loving, economy-first, at all costs neglect-a-thon to some sort of socialist dictatorship. Am I right? However, all companies in the gig economy are obsessed with the belief that flexibility is the key to its operations and that it must be retained even in the face of regulation. And they aren't wrong. That flexibility means staff aren't really staff, but more of a loosely associated affiliate program. They have the same relationship to their employees as my first job at the MCG did. Show up if you want, but know that you are replaceable. That was genuinely the attitude. Deliveroo argues that riders overwhelmingly want flexibility, a fact acknowledged by the TWU survey, which found that only 47% of gig workers surveyed wanted to be classified as employees. And as a tech company, they are ruled by one of the major rules of the internet. You can only care about one thing at a time, ever. As soon as they care about money, obviously they've stopped caring about flexibility. And so as long as they care about flexibility, then they couldn't possibly care about money. You gotta choose, affiliates. It's just too many causes at once. You couldn't possibly care for them all at once. I've seen it on the internet. Now, a task force has been set up to improve rider/affiliate/ any word that doesn't mean benefits and pay safety after 5 delivery riders died on the job in the space of 2 months, has suggested only minor changes to the industry. Now, identified areas of improvement include one action listed as improved bag ergonomics, which was described by advocates for delivery riders as an exercise in futility, which I would say is glib, mean, and unnecessary. Now, I can't say for certain, but I am pretty confident that if I were to contract the services of celebrated celebrity medium and fraud, John Edwards, and use his much beloved skills on behalf of these delivery drivers, we would find that the last thoughts of the now dead riders, as they were mowed down in the service of bringing you food that could have been picked up by yourself, but it was cold, and you were already taking off your pants, and fuck it, the technology exists, would have been, geez, this is an indignity. If only they had made these bags a bit more ergonomic, then I'd be able to be callously mowed down while on duty with much more comfort. An important last thought for anybody. Other actions in the draft include improved app design, app refinement, which one might argue are just someone squeezing the remaining juice out of the thesaurus to get to 6 improvements, because 5 improvements doesn't really give off a vibe of we actually care. But 6, now that's a number that says, hey, this is for you, not for us. Also suggested was easy to read graphics and customizable safety messages. Ah yes, customizable safety messages. Hey, how do you, delivery driver, feel about the last thing that you read being the hilarious warning, danger ahead, stop, hammer time? Because it could be, with our range of customizable safety messages. And finally, the not at all vague sounding business research, with the intention being to investigate the impact of extreme weather, incentives, and time pressure on safety. An investigation that I can do for you right now. They're fucking bad. They will all negatively impact your riders in every single way. Research done. Money please! I do hope your business research extends into the hotly contested field of reporting when your workers die on the job. Because as food delivery company Hungry Panda, who had a worker killed in Sydney, had their HR manager admit in New South Wales Parliament she was unaware that they had a legal obligation to report that he had died on the job. This is a general note to all businesses. Hey, when one of your employees dies on the job, you're obliged to report it. Sorry, except for you, Disney. You can keep sneaking people out of the underground death tunnels. You're all good, as long as you keep making those sweet, sweet Marvel movies and TV shows. How good was Loki? Having a great time. Notably, there was no mention of addressing time pressure in the action plan's list of actions, despite it being cited as the leading cause of deaths and injuries in the document. I guess they were just under severe time pressure to get the job done properly. If only someone would set up some sort of task force to investigate these sort of time-sensitive and high-pressure matters, then maybe, I don't know, just maybe someone could do something about it. Now, concerning workplace safety, the TWU cites a 2019 Safe Work Australia study which found road transport workers remain the most likely to be killed at work, with a fatality rate of 9.4 times higher than the average across all industries. And I'm being told that, that includes going to war. Weird. With the nation in need and the threat of lockdowns, it looks like we're going to have to figure out how to get this system the numbers it needs in our time of need. So we will be conscripting Centrelink recipients to use as delivery riders for people with real jobs who can't leave the house right now. You know how it is. Serve for your country. Deliveroo, in association with Centrelink, presents a government contract that won't be overpaid. What a unique and interesting concept that is. And it seems I've gone so far as to solve the pork barrelling issue as well. You're welcome, Australia. 2 issues with a single news story. Look, as long as they're angry at Centrelink recipients for insisting that they stay alive, whatever that means, then they can give the government contracts to Centrelink employees. Won't matter that they're not properly trained, because when there's a problem, we'll just do the old recipient shuffle, like they do with ministers. Just imagine the sorts of experience you'll get as you move from location to location, from government contract to government contract. You'll just be able to pad out that resume with all sorts of useful and helpful skills thanks to your new friends, the government, as they attempt to plaster over the holes in their organisation with nothing but band-aids and thoughts and prayers. A time-honoured tradition.